Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, when did I start trying so hard? Maybe not out loud, but somewhere in the back of your mind, there's been this subtle pressure to chase attention, approval, maybe even affection. It's like we're told that if we're not constantly proving our worth, we'll be left behind. But here's the truth, you don't have to chase anything. You just have to become the kind of man that draws others in without trying. Now, I know that might sound like one of those motivational posters you'd see in a waiting room, but stick with me. Because being desirable, especially when you're in your prime, has nothing to do with chasing, pleading, or performing. It's about presence. It's about showing up as the kind of man who knows who he is and has no interest in convincing anyone else of it. You see, there's a shift that happens when you stop hustling for approval. The first thing that changes is how you carry yourself. And no, I'm not talking about puffing up your chest or walking like you own the place. I mean the quiet kind of confidence that says, I'm good with me. That's what people notice. It's in how you listen without trying to impress, how you speak without trying to dominate, and how you move through your day without looking for permission. And where does that confidence come from? It starts with keeping promises to yourself. That might sound small, but it's powerful. When you say you're going to hit the gym 3 times a week and actually do it, you're building trust, not with anyone else, but with yourself. When you commit to showing up differently in a conversation, being more present, less reactive, you're building integrity. Over time, that self-trust becomes magnetic. You start to carry the kind of energy that says, I don't need anything from you, but I'm open to everything. That's when people start leaning in. But confidence isn't just internal. It's expressed in how you take care of your world. That could mean grooming, sure, but it also means handling your business. Whether that's your finances, your health, or even the chaos in your garage, it matters. When your world is in order, you move through it with clarity. And that order communicates something powerful. You are a man in command of his life. Now let's talk about attention. The kind of attention that lasts doesn't come from being loud. It comes from being grounded. When you walk into a room, you don't need to perform. You observe. You listen. You speak when you have something real to say. You're not seeking validation, you're present. And that presence, in a world of noise and distraction, is rare. That's what makes it attractive. Here's something else to consider. People are drawn to purpose. And no, you don't have to be on some grand mission to change the world. But when you have direction, when you're building something, learning something, or giving your time to something that matters, you naturally become more compelling. There's momentum in your life, and people feel it. That forward motion, that quiet discipline, it speaks louder than any pickup line ever could. So no, you don't need to chase. You need to build. Build the kind of life you're proud of. Build the kind of energy that fills a room without shouting. And build the habits that make you proud of who you see in the mirror. Now let's go deeper into how that presence shows up in your everyday relationships and how you can sharpen it even further. Here's something most don't talk about. Being desirable has less to do with what you chase and more to do with what you cultivate. Think about it. When you were younger, maybe there was this pressure to prove yourself, to show up, stand out, compete. But in your prime, the energy shifts. Now it's about presence, depth, knowing who you are and making that the most magnetic thing in the room. You see, confidence in this phase of life isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout over everyone else. It's the quiet kind, the kind that walks into a room and already knows it belongs. And that doesn't come from chasing. It comes from building, from the little choices you make daily, like how you carry yourself when no one's watching, the way you speak with intention, the way you listen. Because let's be honest, being listened to is rare. And when you truly listen to someone, especially with no agenda, you stand out more than any flashy line ever could. And here's where it gets powerful. People, especially women, can sense when a man is grounded, when he's not scrambling for approval. That steadiness, that unshakable vibe, it makes people feel safe. Not in a boring way, but in a real way. It says, I know who I am, and I'm not afraid to stand still. That's more appealing than any high-status game you could play. Now let's talk about curiosity, not chasing, but genuine curiosity. Not just about others, but about life. A man who's still curious in his mature years is magnetic. Whether it's picking up a new skill, diving into a subject you've always been interested in, or even traveling somewhere on your own, that spark makes people lean in. They wonder, what's he into? What's he learning? You become someone who's always growing, and that energy is irresistible. And no, you don't have to be the loudest in the room. In fact, don't be. Be the one people are drawn to because you're fully present, because you know how to hold a pause, because you're not looking to impress, you're here to connect. That kind of presence isn't about being perfect. It's about being real, about showing up as someone who's made peace with a mess and still stands tall. You're not in competition anymore. Not with the guy next to you, not with a version of you from 10 years ago. You're in collaboration with your life, your values, your future. When you operate from that place, people notice. You don't have to chase approval. It finds you. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been before the world told you to try harder, chase more, be louder. Now is the time to clear that noise and step fully into who you already are. There's a certain power that comes with not needing anything from anyone, not because you've gone cold, but because you've filled your own cup. That kind of self-sufficiency doesn't push people away. It draws them in. You become someone others feel calm around, someone who isn't reacting to the world, but responding with clarity. In your prime, that kind of emotional composure becomes more attractive than any six-pack or sports car. Let's not forget how rare simplicity is. You don't have to orchestrate some elaborate version of yourself to be desirable. When you're authentic, when your words match your actions and your life aligns with your values, you become someone people trust. And trust, real trust, is a currency that never loses value. Especially at this stage in life, people are tired of guessing. They want real. You offer that by simply being steady, not swayed by every trend, every opinion, every noise trying to tell you who to be. And maybe one of the most overlooked parts of being deeply desirable? Humor. Not performative, not trying to prove you're the funniest in the room, but a quiet kind of wit that comes from paying attention to life. When you can laugh, especially at yourself, you make space for others to exhale. That comfort, that lightness, it's memorable. In the middle of a world that feels too serious too often, you become a breath of fresh air. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things. Taking care of your body not to impress, but to feel good in it. Saying no without apology because you've earned the right to protect your time. Being selective, not from arrogance, but from clarity. When you're no longer trying to be liked by everyone, you become unforgettable to the right ones. And the truth is, the more you build a life you enjoy being in, the less you even think about chasing anything or anyone. You become a destination, not a detour. People pick up on that. They notice how you carry yourself, how you look them in the eye, how you can enjoy your own company without needing to be the center of attention. That's what being desirable really looks like when you've grown into yourself. So if you're wondering where to start there. With yourself. What do you want more of in your days? What feels meaningful now? Not 10 years ago, not what others expect, but what actually matters to you. Build from that. Let that shape your days, your habits, your presence. And watch what happens when you stop chasing and start becoming. If this message spoke to you, take a second to like this video. Share your thoughts or your own experience in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more content that speaks directly to who you are, right where you are in life. Here's to being grounded, magnetic, and fully alive in your prime.